Tonight, the Chief Medical Officer urges the public to remain focused in the COVID-19 fight after public ire about a fence at Ridley Beach. The National Trust slams the government for poor communication with the public on the beach fencing issue. And 2,198 students across the island sit the Common Entrance examination. You have the details of these stories and more coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Monday, the 29th of June, 2020. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. We're on Flow Channel 117, Kiss FM, our Caribbean Hot FM mobile app, and our Facebook page. I'm Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. The island's chief medical officer has brought clarity to a matter which left many citizens scratching their heads over the weekend. The erection of a fence on the Ridley Beach drew the ire of many citizens when a photo was posted to social media. But the chief medical officer is adamant that people need to remain focused and appreciate the measures taken to ensure public safety amid the COVID-19 battle. After a number of people were caught sneaking in and out of the Rodney Bay quarantine facility, she says the fence was a necessity. The erection of a fence at the Ridley Beach in the vicinity of the Rodney Bay Public Health Facility prompted concern from citizens after a photo was posted onto Facebook by Dr. Stephen King. He questioned the reason why a fence would be put on the beach. Reaction was swift and the matter soon became a trending topic on social media, with many citizens also questioning the rationale behind the move. The government's senior communications officer, Nicole McDonald, offered an explanation under Dr. King's Facebook post. It reads in part, "The fence was placed on the beach of the Rodney Bay Public Health Facility in an effort to ensure public health and safety was maintained at the quarantine site." End quote. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belmar George also addressed the matter on the Government Information Service on Friday morning. She stressed that it is a protection measure.
The security team at the Rodney Bay Public Health Facility, that is the quarantine site, they continuously notified us of breaches in security at this location due to the open beach access. I think earlier on you may have heard reports of persons trying to come through the beach to visit persons who were there, and this has led to us increasing the number of people in quarantine because we have had to quarantine persons who try to sneak in when we do find out. So in an effort to preserve health and safety of the general public and to reduce any possible direct contact between persons in quarantine and the general public, the request was made to strengthen the security measures at that location.
Dr. Belmar George says preserving lives is the top priority of health officials as they move forward.
Just to go back to the erecting of the fencing going into the water, there was a query as to why the fencing was not done around the hotel perimeter instead of going straight into the water. Can you give an explanation to that, perhaps?
This was left to the security team as to how it was done. I know there were a number of options were looked at. I know it was a difficulty, and I know a costing was done to try to see how they could have done the entire front. And I think it would have caused some extra delays. So I'm not experienced in security and engineering. So this was left to the technical persons as to how the strengthening was done. But I think we need to focus on what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep our people safe.
She explained that previous strategies like increasing security numbers and installation of cameras have not been as effective as health officials would have liked when it comes to addressing the problem of unauthorized entries or departures from the facility.
So this has been a bit of an issue for us, and the Ministry of Health, we committed to ensuring the health and safety of everyone, and I think it's important that the public stay focused on what we're trying to do. We're trying to reduce transmission, we're trying to contain and keep a disease in low levels. So as we move forward, it is one of the things that we really wanted to to ensure that we can, to reduce persons coming into the facilities through the beach, and also to reduce the possibility of our quarantine persons leaving. Because I don't know if you're aware of how this hotel is structured, a lot of the rooms are directly with very close proximity to the beach.
The CMO urged the public to cooperate and be patient even in the face of some inconvenient measures that have to be implemented. She pointed to advisories by the World Health Organization that urge countries to prepare to live with COVID-19 for some time and in so doing get used to a new way of life in some respects. Now, although not completely averse to the newly erected fence on Redway Beach, the chairperson of the National Trust, Alison King, believes that such a move should have been more transparent. King has also called for official confirmation that the structure is temporary and that it will be removed as soon as its purpose in mitigating the spread of COVID-19 has been served. Jacques Wooding tells us more in this report.
One clear voice of concern about the erected fence at Redway Beach has been that of the St. Lucia National Trust. Chairperson of the National Trust, Alison King, says although it can be assumed that the cross-sectional fence was erected as an added security feature for the Rodney Bay Public Health Facility, the justification for such a move should not have been left to assumption. She believes that prior to erecting such a structure, authorities should have made an effort to inform and engage the public.
There should have been a little bit more public relations attached to that activity, because access to beaches is an inalienable right of every St. Lucian, and it's something that we guard jealously. We understand that, the requirement to isolate persons who are being held for quarantine or isolation at Starfish may have dictated that they take that action. It could have been done perhaps more effectively otherwise, but we don't know what the considerations were. And as I say, we are assuming that is the reason, because there's been no formal information issued in relation to the erection of this fence.
King believes that the authorities should send a clear message as to how long the fence will stand.
From a trust perspective, we would like to hear from the authorities that once this issue has been overcome, that this fence will be removed forthwith and that right to access will be reinstated.
She is pleased that a wire mesh fence was selected for this use, as there is little anticipation of serious ecological impacts resulting from the presence of the fence. However, King noted that authorities should keep an eye on the site to ensure that the fence does not hinder turtle nesting. Jacques Wooding, Hot 7 News.
On Monday, the 29th of June, students island-wide settled into their respective examination centers to sit the Common Entrance examination. Chief Education Officer Dr. Fiona Philip-Meyer shared the details of this year's exam, which, due to various adversities presented by the COVID-19 pandemic, took a brand new format. Shaka Wooding has more.
Today, several secondary schools on island have been transformed into examination centers where students of grade 6, the class of 2020, will sit their common entrance examinations, this very critical exam, in extraordinary circumstances as we continue to persevere through the COVID-19 pandemic. In a previous interview, Chief Education Officer Fiona Philip-Meyer provided some insight into the format that the examination will take under COVID-19 protocols.
For our common entrance, we remain with our multiple choice paper that we've explained to the public in terms of that being the same format. No difference in the format. It is just an addition of more and varied subject areas that the teachers have been working with the students on. It has formed part of the grade 5 curriculum that the students have been exposed to, and our term 1 of grade 6. We anticipate a shorter turnover time simply because of the method that's been used this year, but that information will be communicated through the education officers to the schools in the shortest amount of time.
Parents are already lined up to pick up their students as soon as they emerge from the exam halls. And we can definitely say that we applaud these young students for coming up here today and putting their all into their examinations. All the best to the class of 2020.
Meantime, the Minister for Education, Dr. Gail Rigobert, expressed her confidence in the ability of this cohort of grade 6 students to surmount the challenges presented by this COVID-19 pandemic.
I would like to say to the students that they have done their very best. We've had a very challenging academic year, and they have demonstrated their resilience. They have done their homework. They have familiarized themselves with the various online programs, and where that was not possible, they had the worksheets to work with. And so I'm confident that they will do well. I think this year will go down in history as being unprecedented in so many ways, but I have every confidence that our young ones will make us proud.
Dr. Rigobert also highlighted the immense contribution of educators who went above and beyond the call of duty to ensure students were ready for the national exam.
I also want to thank the principals, the teachers, and the ancillary staff who would have worked with them to ensure that there's smooth reintegration into the classroom and preparation for the exam.
The minister says regardless of the results, parents, students, and teachers should all be proud as they have had to adapt to changing and challenging times due to COVID-19. Caribbean airline Liat is on the brink of liquidation, according to Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown. Brown indicated a 2019 annual loss for Liat of roughly EC $12 million. But that was in a prior era when flights were operating and generally full. These days, the planes are grounded and there is no revenue while fixed costs continue to mount. The airline does not have the resources to cover those losses. And from Brown's comments, it also does not appear that island governments will be able to stump the cash. As a result, debts and staff must be cut. Hundreds of staff are expected to lose their jobs as a result of what Brown calls right-sizing the airline. Brown appealed to Liat's current staff to not fight the process. He alludes to the potential for legal action by employee groups that could hinder the restructuring. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Still to come, a bus accident leaves a number of people nursing injuries. The Archbishop concedes it's highly unlikely that Jesus was white, but says neither was he black. And the WHO says the worst is yet to come with COVID-19. That and more after the break.